Most people think walking is easy exercise. Most people are wrong. In this video, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why walking every day is harder than most people realize. You might be thinking, well, this is going to be a really discouraging video. If you hang with me, I will flip that coin over and you'll see that it's actually very encouraging. Hi, I'm Dave. It's important for you to know that I'm not a doctor. I'm not a licensed personal trainer. I'm a guy who loves walking. Since 2013, I've averaged 19,000 steps a day, not because I have to, but because I want to. And for almost 3 years now, I've done a daily podcast, Walking is Fitness, that is helping others start and stick with walking as a fitness activity. Every day, there's a brand new 10-minute episode, and it's not me in a studio saying you should walk. I'm actually walking as I record each episode. So essentially, we're taking a walk together. Let's talk about, by the way, I'm right now in the Market Common. This is a shopping and restaurant district that is in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It is early in the morning. Later today, there will be thousands of people walking through this area, shopping, enjoying the restaurants, having a good time. And while that walking is good and it's beneficial according to the experts, that walking isn't exercise. According to the experts, walking for exercise needs to have intentionality, it needs to have consistency, and it needs to have some intensity. According to the experts, if we're moving at about 3 to 4 miles an hour, that rises to the level of exercise. So let's talk about 5 reasons why walking for exercise, for fitness every day is harder than most people realize. And while we do that, let's take a walk. Reason number 1, building a habit is hard. This is the consistency part of it, doing this consistently. Walking every day essentially is a habit, and building a habit is hard. If you've ever tried building a habit, you know how difficult this can be. And we've been told that it takes 30 days, it's easy to build a habit. Well, there's newer research that indicates that building a habit, I'm getting ready to cross the road, so I need to check, make sure it's safe. Building a habit actually requires 66 days. Some can do it in less time, some actually need more time, but building a habit is super, super hard. That sound, by the way, is a truck that is about a block away that's sitting there idling. So that's reason number 1 why walking every day is hard, because building the habit is hard. Reason number 2, walking every day with some intensity is uncomfortable, especially when you're just getting started. You're building this fitness capacity, you're out of breath, you're using muscles in ways that you haven't used them before, so it's physically uncomfortable. It's also emotionally uncomfortable because it can feel awkward. This is the intentionality part. When we're doing something every day with intention, we can feel awkward. Are people watching me as I'm doing this? And that feels awkward. So reason number 2 why walking every day is hard, because it can be uncomfortable. Reason number 3 why walking every day is hard, because starting small is hard. What happens? We hear about the benefits of walking for exercise. The experts, there's research backing this, that we can lower the risk of an early death by 50%. We can lower the risk of cardiac, heart disease. We can lower the risk of certain cancers, type 2 diabetes, dementia. Additionally, walking can help you manage chronic stress. It can impact in a good way anxiety. And I love this research, walking can actually make you more creative. 60% more creative when you're out walking. And so we hear about all these benefits. We hear stories of other people who have been walking consistently, exercising consistently, and the great benefits they've had, and we think it's time to do this thing, and we're excited. And what happens when we're excited? We're full of motivation, and we want to start big. We hear that 10,000 steps is what you need. By the way, it's not. I've got another video all about that. And so, well, no, we're not going to do 10,000 steps. We're going to go 12,000 steps. Or we hear that the recommendation is between 150 and 300 minutes of moderate level exercise, walking at 3 to 4 miles an hour, rises to that. So you break that down, 150 to 300 minutes a week is 22 to 45 minutes a day. So we say, no, I'm going to go an hour a day. So we go big, we start big because we're excited, we're motivated. And that first day we nail it. We're like, oh, this is going to be great. This is going to be life-changing. And then what happens? We get a week down the road, maybe 2 weeks down the road, and it's suddenly a lot harder because that initial motivation, it rarely sticks. And then what happens? We start looking for excuses to stop. Instead, it's better to start small to build the habit. But that's hard to do, especially when you're really motivated at the beginning to start small. I don't want to start small. That feels silly. Reason number 4 why this is hard, walking every day is hard. We want the progress, we want the results right now. And after a week or 2, we don't see those results, we don't see that progress, we're ready to give up because again, that initial motivation, that's gone. Instead, we need to think long. This is going to take a while. This isn't a microwave, this is a crock pot. And that's really hard. Most of us don't go into this kind of activity, this kind of commitment with the idea that this is going to take a long time. And so again, what happens? You're chugging along, you're doing this thing, you're grinding it out, and you're not seeing the results that you had hoped for in the time that you had hoped to see them, and you start looking for excuses. You might even start feeling silly. Why am I doing this? And then reason number 5, why this is hard, because we play the comparison game. We start looking around at what others are doing and the results that others are having. And we think that what we're doing is less than. You know, you're always going to find somebody who's doing more. You're always going to see somebody who's had results and progress that are greater than yours. And you start playing the comparison game. And you'll always find those people because you're looking for them and you feel like what you're doing isn't worth it. And what happens? Well, you start looking for excuses. Why you should stop, why you shouldn't continue. I want to wrap this up with 2 thoughts. Number 1, that might all sound discouraging, but every one of those reasons, every one of those, I have felt myself, and I'm not alone. Maybe you have felt it too. And sometimes it's helpful, even encouraging, if you have attempted fitness and you failed, as so many of us have, to realize that you're not a fitness failure unicorn, that this is something that is common, that these roadblocks, this difficulty is something that others feel as well. And knowing you're not alone can actually be encouraging and give you the courage to try again. That's number 1. And number 2, you might be, as you're listening to these different reasons, that it's a habit, that it's physically uncomfortable, that you need to start small, that you need to think long, that you can play the comparison game. You might be thinking, well, that doesn't just apply to walking, that applies to any form of exercise. Exactly, because walking is exercise, and exercise is hard. It is hard to start. It is really hard to stick with it. And that's where my podcast, Walking is Fitness, has helped so many people get started and start in a way that sticks. If you would like to begin walking every day as a fitness activity, we've got that big truck that was idling, is now right next to me. I'll let that pass for a moment. If you would like to begin walking in a way that sticks every day, I invite you to listen to Walking is Fitness. It's a daily podcast, every episode 10 minutes. And again, every episode is recorded as I'm out walking. So essentially, we are walking together. Essentially, that podcast is the length of this video. Check it out, Walking is Fitness. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you have a great day.